Remember that moment that marked your whole life? That moment that might look a lot like this one. Third grade, recess. You raised your hand to speak, and they laughed. Not because you were wrong, because there was something in the way you spoke, in the hesitation, in the voice that cracked, in the apology before the sentence, that told them, this one is prey. You are 35 years old now. Different decade. Same pattern. You walk into rooms, and people's eyes glide over you as if you were furniture. You speak in meetings, and someone repeats your exact idea 2 minutes later and takes the credit. You try to establish boundaries with your partner, with your boss, with your friends, and somehow, you always end up apologizing. You tell yourself it's about being good, having integrity, not being a jerk. But late at night, when you're alone, you know the truth. You are invisible. And invisibility isn't kindness, it's erasure. Today, I'm going to show you the 10 laws of power that you are violating every single day. Laws that have governed human hierarchy for centuries. Laws that separate the predator from the prey. You break them without knowing, and every time you do, you are broadcasting weakness to everyone around you. But there is something I need to tell you at the end about the 10th law, something that changes everything. Hold that thought. Here is the lie they sold you. Respect comes from being nice. You believed it. Your parents said it. Teachers rewarded it. Disney movies confirmed it. Be humble, be kind, be considerate, and people will value you. Except they don't. They walk all over you. They interrupt you. They forget your name 5 minutes after meeting you. And you keep doubling down on the same strategy. More kindness, more accommodation, more self-sacrifice. You think you're building credit. That one day, all this goodness will pay off and people will finally see your value. But that's not how the game works. Look, you are operating from what I call deficit thinking. You believe you start at zero and need to earn your way up through good behavior. So you become a transactional nice guy, stockpiling favors, accumulating kindness points, waiting for the world to notice. Meanwhile, the people who command respect, they operate from abundance. They don't ask for space. They take it. They don't wait for permission. They assume authority. And you hate them for it. Because deep down, you know they are playing a different game. A game you were never taught. But here is what no one tells you. These 10 behaviors you do every day aren't kindness. They are camouflage. It's how you hide the fact that you are terrified of being seen as aggressive, selfish, or mean. You've spent your whole life running from the monster inside you, the part that wants to dominate, win, be feared. And that repression? That is what makes you weak. Let me show you how this really works. When you understand power dynamics, not the sanitized version they teach in corporate seminars, but the real mechanics, you realize something disturbing. Every interaction is a status negotiation. Not sometimes, always. When you apologize unnecessarily, you are signaling submission. When you over-explain, you are seeking approval. When you laugh at jokes that aren't funny, you are paying tribute. You think you're being polite, but functionally, you are kneeling. And once people see you kneel, they can't unsee it. This is what the old political writers understood, the ones who couldn't write directly because the truth was too dangerous. So they hid it in metaphors, the lion, the fox, the prince. What they were really saying was this: power is not given. It is assumed. You walk into rooms as if you belong there, or you walk in as if you are grateful for permission to enter, and people decide which of the two you are in the first 3 seconds. Not by what you say, by what you broadcast, your posture, your eye contact, whether you fill space or shrink from it, whether you speak with periods or question marks. Most men think respect is about being impressive, having the right car, the right job, the right words. But that's not it. Respect is about being immovable. It's about having a center that doesn't shift when life tests you, when the boss challenges you, when the room goes silent and everyone is waiting to see if you fold. The strong don't need to prove anything. They simply are, and everyone around them feels it. The weak, they are constantly performing, constantly managing perceptions, constantly afraid someone will see through the mask. And that fear, that is the broadcast signal. That is what makes you prey. But here is where it gets interesting. There are 10 specific laws that govern this dynamic. 10 universal principles that separate those who command respect from those who beg for it. And they exist in a hierarchy. From the obvious violations everyone sees, to the subtle transgressions only masters of the game recognize. Most men never get past Law 3. They fix the superficial stuff, stand straighter, speak louder, but they are still violating the deeper laws. And the people at the top? Those who truly command power, they aren't even playing the same game anymore. Let me guide you through the 10. And pay attention, because where you stop reading is probably where you are stuck. Law 1. You apologize for existing. Sorry to bother you. Sorry, quick question. Sorry, can I just... Every sentence starts with an apology. For taking up space, for having needs, for being alive. You think it's politeness, but it's not. It's a trauma response. Somewhere, someone taught you that your presence was an inconvenience, that you had to earn the right to speak. So you built a shield of apologies to protect yourself from rejection. But apologies are transfers of power. Every time you say sorry when you did nothing wrong, you are giving away status for free. And people feel it. They might not register it consciously, but on a subconscious level, they categorize you. Pray. Here is what the old masters understood. It is better to be feared than loved. But when you apologize for your existence, you achieve neither. You aren't feared, you aren't loved, you are ignored. Because respect, real respect, doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being solid, from occupying the space you deserve without asking for permission. Most people live here, maybe 70% of the population. They die having apologized for their entire existence. You know you are violating this law if you apologize before asking questions, before making requests, before setting boundaries. If sorry is your punctuation, you are on Law 1. The cost of staying here. You become the person everyone interrupts, the one whose time doesn't matter, the one people forget. How to transcend. Stop apologizing unless you have genuinely hurt someone. Replace sorry to bother you with quick question. Replace sorry, but I disagree with I see it differently. It will feel aggressive at first. That is your nervous system recalibrating. But watch what happens. People start treating your time as valuable. Because you do. Law 2. You can't make a simple request without a 5-paragraph justification. Oh, I won't be able to make it tonight. I have this thing with my mom, and she's going through a lot, and I feel bad because I've been busy and... Stop. When you over-explain, you are seeking permission. You are asking the other person to agree that your reason is good enough. But the strong don't explain. They declare, I won't be able to make it tonight. Period. No justification, no excuse, just the fact. You think the explanation makes you look considerate, but it makes you look weak, as if you don't trust your own judgment, as if you need external validation for your decisions. And other people, they subconsciously lose respect for you. Because if you don't think your decisions are valid without a 10-minute defense, why should they? Maybe 50% of men are violating this law. They stopped apologizing for everything, but they are still performing, still managing perceptions. You know you are here if you can't say no without explaining why, if you can't declare a preference without justifying it, if every boundary comes with a disclaimer. The cost. You become the person people negotiate with. They push against your boundaries because you signaled they are negotiable. How to transcend. Practice 1-sentence answers. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. No, thank you. The silence afterward will be excruciating. Your nervous system will scream at you to fill it with an explanation. Don't fill it. Let them sit in the discomfort of your certainty. Law 3. You end statements with questions. I think we should go with option B, right? What do you think? That movie was really good, wasn't it? Did you like it? You can't make a declaration without turning it into a referendum, without checking if everyone agrees, without seeking external confirmation that you have permission to hold that opinion. This is a bit more subtle than laws 1 and 2. Most people won't notice it consciously, but they will feel it. When you turn statements into questions, you broadcast uncertainty. You signal that your opinion is provisional, that you will switch if the crowd disagrees. And people, especially those who have mastered the higher laws, see you as someone who can be moved, molded, controlled. Maybe 30% of men are violating this law. They learn not to apologize or over-explain, but they still haven't internalized their own authority. You know you are here if you add right or you know at the end of sentences. If you are constantly checking if people agree. If you need consensus before committing to a position. The cost. People stop trusting your judgment because you don't trust it. Leaders don't follow people who doubt themselves. How to transcend, make statements, period. That is how I see it. I prefer X. This doesn't work for me. Not aggressive, just certain. Watch how the energy shifts. People start looking to you for answers instead of giving them to you. Law 4. You make yourself physically smaller. Arms crossed, shoulders hunched, eyes down. You fold inward as if trying to disappear. Most people never notice this consciously, but everyone feels it. Humans are animals, and animals communicate threat through size. The bear stands tall. The wolf hackles up. The man who commands respect occupies space. You do the opposite. You shrink. You make yourself compact. Try not to impose. And your body is betraying you in every interaction. People read your posture before they hear your words. And when your posture says, "I'm trying not to be noticed," your words don't matter. Maybe 20% are violating this law. They fix the verbal cues, but the body still broadcasts fear. You know you are here if you cross your arms when you get nervous, if you look down when you walk, if you make yourself smaller in crowded spaces instead of taking the room you need. The cost. People physically move into your space. They cut you in line. They stand too close. They are subconsciously testing the boundary and finding none. How to transcend. Stand as if you own the ground beneath your feet. Uncross your arms. Keep your head level. Occupy the space your body actually needs. It will feel like you're being aggressive or rude. You aren't. You just aren't disappearing anymore. Law 5. You endure discomfort to avoid conflict. You will endure discomfort, sacrifice your needs, swallow your truth, all to avoid confrontation. Someone cuts in line. You say nothing. Someone disrespects your time. You laugh. Someone crosses a boundary. You pretend it didn't happen. You tell yourself it's not worth it. That you are being mature. That only weak people need to prove something. But that's not what is happening. What is happening is that you are afraid. Afraid of confrontation. Afraid of disapproval. Afraid of being seen as difficult. So you let things slide. And every time you do, you are training people how to treat you. Here is what the old strategists knew. Battles cannot be avoided. They can only be delayed to your enemy's advantage. When you avoid conflict, you think you are keeping the peace. But you aren't. You are giving your opponent time to strengthen their position, time to take more territory, time to get more comfortable disrespecting you. Every boundary you don't defend gets weaker. Every transgression you ignore becomes normalized. And years later you explode over something small or simply become numb. Because that anger doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It rots. Maybe 10% of men realize they are violating this law. Because this looks like virtue. It looks like evolution. It looks like being above petty conflicts. But the men who truly command respect, they address things immediately, not aggressively, just directly. You know you are here if you avoid difficult conversations, if you hope problems will resolve themselves, if you prioritize keeping the peace over honoring your boundaries. The cost, you become a doormat. People take advantage of you because you showed them they could, and with every delay they gain more power. How to transcend. Address boundary violations the moment they happen, calmly, directly. Oh, the line starts back there. That didn't work for me. Don't do that again. Most people will respect it, and the ones who don't, you just identified who they are. The battle was always coming. The only question was whether you were going to fight it from a position of strength or weakness. Law 6. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You smile when you are uncomfortable. Use humor to deflect tension. This is subtle. Most people never see it in themselves. But watch. When a conversation gets serious, you make a joke. When someone challenges you, you laugh. When there is silence, you fill it with nervous humor. You think you are being nice, laid back, fun. But what you are actually doing is disarming yourself. Humor is a powerful tool when used from a position of strength. But when you use it to escape discomfort, you are signaling that you can't handle tension. And tension is where power lives. The men who command rooms? They are comfortable with silence, with seriousness, with letting uncomfortable moments exist. You aren't. Maybe 5% of men are violating this law, because this disguises itself as social skill. You know you are here if you can't let a serious moment stay serious. If you deflect compliments with jokes, if you laugh when you get nervous. The cost: people don't take you seriously. Your humor becomes your armor and your prison. How to transcend? Let serious moments be serious. Let the silence exist. Don't rescue people from tension. Hold space for it. You will feel naked at first, like you lost your shield. But watch what happens. People start seeing the real you and respecting it. Law 7. You cannot make a statement without diluting it. I'm no expert, but this might be wrong, but just my opinion, but you preemptively sabotage yourself. Build escape routes. Ensure everyone knows you aren't claiming authority. This is what I call verbal hedging. And it is poison. When you qualify your statements, you are telling people not to take you seriously. You are doing their work for them. And here is the thing. Even if you are right, they won't listen. Because you framed your own idea as uncertain. Maybe 3% of men are violating this law. Because this requires awareness. You have to notice your language patterns. You know you are here if you preface opinions with warnings. If you use maybe, possibly, kind of, constantly. If you can't make a statement without softening it. The cost: your ideas are ignored or stolen. Because you are broadcasting that even you don't fully believe in them. How to transcend: state things clearly. Here is what I think. This is the solution. I disagree. No qualifiers, no hedge, just the statement. It will seem arrogant at first. That is your conditioning screaming. Ignore it. Law 8. You match status. Here is where it gets dangerous. You stopped violating all the surface laws. You don't apologize unnecessarily. You don't over-explain. You make statements. You hold space. You address conflict. But there is something you still do. You match the status of whoever you are talking to. With high-status people, you are still deferential. You laugh a little too much at their jokes. Listen a little too intently. You signal subtly that you recognize their superiority. With low-status people, you are generous, kind, accessible. You make them feel comfortable. Sounds noble, right? Wrong. What you are doing is adapting your status based on external cues, which means your status isn't internal, it's relational. And people at the top see this. They see that you change based on context, and they categorize you. Chameleon. Less than 2% of men realize they are violating this law, because it requires observing yourself in different contexts and noticing the pattern. You know you are here if you act differently around your boss than around subordinates. If you are more confident with some people than with others, if your energy shifts based on who is in the room. The cost: you are seen as adaptable, but not authentic. Useful, but not powerful. People work with you, but they don't follow you. How to transcend: maintain the same internal state regardless of external status. You aren't rude to anyone, but you aren't deferential either. You are just you, constant, regardless of who is watching. This is the beginning of true power. Law 9. You explain misunderstandings. You are almost there. But there is one thing you still do. When someone misunderstands you, you explain yourself. When someone judges you, you defend yourself. When someone has the wrong impression, you correct it. You think you are being clear, setting the record straight, ensuring people understand. But what you are really doing is seeking their approval. Look, the men who have transcended the game, they don't care if you misunderstand them. They don't need you to see them correctly. They are so solid in their own identity that your perception is irrelevant. But you are still performing, still managing the image, still trying to control how people see you. And that attempt? That is the signal. Less than 1% of men are violating this law. Because you have to have done so much internal work to reach this law. You know you are here if you can't let a misunderstanding stand. If being judged wrong bothers you. If you feel compelled to correct people's perception of you. The cost, you are still playing the game. And everyone who has transcended can see you playing. How to transcend. Let people be wrong about you. Don't correct. Don't defend. Just exist. And watch how, paradoxically, people start seeking your approval instead of the other way around. Law 10, the void, the 10th law, and then there is the 10th. I can't fully explain it here, because it's not something you do. It's something you become. In Law 10, you aren't trying to look strong. You aren't managing perceptions. You aren't performing power. You have transcended the game completely. You walk into rooms and people feel something, but they can't articulate what. You speak and people listen, but not because you are loud or charismatic. You set boundaries and people respect them, but not because you are aggressive. It is something else. It is the absence of need. You don't need their approval, their respect, their validation, their fear. You don't need anything from them. And that absence? That is what they feel. Most people spend their entire lives needing something from others, and that need radiates. It creates invisible pressure, a transaction waiting to happen. But you let go. And when you walk into a room with nothing to prove and nothing to gain, you become a void, a zero pressure space, and people are drawn in like gravity. This is what the old political writers called virtù. Not virtue in the modern sense, goodness or morality, but something else entirely. The ability to control your own fortune, to move through the world without being moved by it, to remain constant while everything around you changes. You are no longer a leaf blown by the wind of other people's opinions. You are the wind itself. But here is what I cannot say publicly. What you have to sacrifice to get there is not something most people are willing to lose. And if you are on Law 9, you already know what I'm talking about. So here is what you do. Choose the law you are violating. Be honest. Most people lie to themselves about this. Then spend the next 30 days focusing only on mastering that law. Not all of them. Just the one where you are stuck. If you are on Law 1, your only job is to stop apologizing unless you have really hurt someone. If you are on Law 5, your only job is to address one boundary violation per day. Fight the battle now, not later. If you are on Law 8, your only job is to keep the same energy regardless of who you are talking to. Don't skip laws. Don't try to jump to Law 10. The work is sequential. Each law builds on the previous one. And here is what will happen. The first few days, you will feel like you are being a jerk. Your nervous system will scream at you. People might even react negatively because you are breaking the pattern they are used to. Push through. By the second week, you will notice something change. People start treating you differently, not because you are trying to impress them, but because you stopped violating the laws. By the third week, you will see the people in your life differently. Some of them, you will realize, were feeding off your violations. They will resist your transformation. Let them go. By the fourth week, you will have internalized the new pattern, and you will be ready to work on the next law. But here is the thing most people won't tell you. Not everyone should do this work. Some people are comfortable being prey. They like the safety of invisibility. They prefer being liked to being respected. And that's okay. The world needs people at every level. But if you read this far, you aren't one of them. So here it is. You saw the 10 laws. You know which one you are violating. Most people, maybe 95%, will close this and go back to the same patterns tomorrow. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. But you are different. You wouldn't have read this far if you weren't. So here is what I need you to do. Not for me. For you. Write in the comments. Law number that you are violating. Not the law you wish you had mastered, the law you are actually breaking. Because when you declare it publicly, you create commitment. And commitment, when public, becomes real. But I'm going to be straight with you. The next video goes deep into what happens between Law 8 and 9. It is the most dangerous transition. Most people who try fail. Because what you have to let go of to transcend Law 8 is what most people built their entire identity on. But if you're ready, I'll see you there, where the real game begins.